What up, YouTube? Two Movies here. It's reported that Jeremy Pope, who's of course was just seen starring in the Netflix miniseries Hollywood, will be starring in a film titled Scandalous, where he will set to be playing the role of Sammy Davis Jr. And it's Scandalous is pretty much a Sammy Davis Jr. and Kim Novak love story. I guess you could put it that way. But anyway, the film is actually said to be directed by Hollywood and post-director Janet Mock, and will be scripted by Jonathan Glickman, who's also it will be produced by Jonathan Glickman, who's also the producer of the upcoming Aretha Franklin biopic, Respect. The drama is a Romeo and Juliet set in the backdrop of the Hollywood studio system, when star images were carefully controlled. Sammy Davis Jr. was a color barrier breaking star who was making $25,000 a week at the Sands Hotel in Las Vegas, and became one of the first black stars to appear in a dramatic role on television on General Electric there. Novak, of course, has been loads of classic stuff like she was in Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. She was a pretty big star back then. I guess you could say she was like the Jennifer Lawrence of that era, really. Anyway, Novak was a discovery of a notorious Columbia picture head Harry Cohen, who relied on her to replace a previous discovery, Rita Hayworth, whose string of marriages dimmed her star power. Novak, was the next rising star of Vertigo, and when she and Davis fell in love after being matched up by Tony Curtis, the pressure brought to bear on both were unimaginable, as word of their romance hit the Hollywood gossip. So, in other words, if TMZ was around back then, TMZ would be all over the story. Anyway, a legend has it that each had reasons to fall in love. Davis had been the victim of extreme racism from other days that he got his nose flattened in the army. Dang, it was serious back then. Fighting his fellow soldiers at all the time, and essentially wasn't able to stay in Vegas hotels where he performed until pal Frank Sinatra insecure that he would later tell a biographer he wanted to show them all by dating the most desirable white woman. As for Novak, she was being exploited by Cohen in loan out deals to other studios that paid him fortunes, while she made pennies starring in movies. Cohen was also suffocating and malignant influence on her. This was a way to establish her independence, but mostly the stars just fell in love. He took the flak from civil rights leaders who thought it was unwise for Davis Jr. to date outside his race, and it got dangerous for him when a hit was also placed on Davis. It was believed that Cohen caught in the contract, while Sinatra and gangsters like Mickey Cohen and Sam Ginsana kept him safe in Vegas. Wow, it was really serious back then. Davis was forced into a bogus marriage with a black singer named Lorraine White. She called off the hit. The couple broke up not so long after. She was delusional about things like pay disparity for actors, and left Hollywood soon after she became a painter in Big Sur. And they didn't see each other until the Oscars in 1979, where they danced at the governor's ball, and again when she visited Davis on his deathbed. Cohen died of a heart attack after the breakup. Some said the stress of Novak-Davis romance was a factor, and the 2,000 people attended, leading Red Skelton to opine that it only proves that they always say give the public something they want to see, and they'll come for it. Jesus. Boy, I love movies about old Hollywood. That's kind of why I got kicked out of that recent Hollywood series on Netflix. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was pretty decent. I think Jeremy Pope could be pretty good as Sammy Davis Jr. I mean, Sammy Davis Jr. was an iconic back in the days, and I mean, of course, he was in the original Ocean's 11. He was really in the original Brat Pack, Now, there's also actually another biopic about Sammy Davis Jr. also in the works, so it looks like we're getting not one but two movies about Sammy Davis. But anyway, I think Jeremy Pope could be really good as the role. So, I mean, I'm really curious to see who they're going to get to play the role of Cohen, who's going to play Kim Novak, who's, like, are they going to get, who are they going to get to play Frank Sinatra? I mean, well, Martin Scorsese's been trying to get a Frank Sinatra biopic off the ground for years, so I guess if we can't get Sinatra in an actual biopic, maybe seeing Sinatra as a character in something like this could be pretty sweet, because you can't really do a Sammy Davis Jr. biopic without including Frank Sinatra in your film, so there's that. I'm curious to see who they're going to get you to play Frank Sinatra. That would be sweet. And who are they going to get you to play Kim Novak? This actually sounds really intriguing. I mean, it could be an Oscar contender. This has Oscars written all over it. Anyway, let me leave it to you guys. What are your thoughts on Jeremy Pope playing the role of Sammy Davis Jr. in this Kim Novak and Sammy Davis Jr. Loves film, Scandalous? Do you like the sound of it? Do you know much about the story that this is based on? And who would you like to see play the other characters? Like, who would you like to see play Kim Novak? Who would you like to see play Cohen? Who would you like to see play Frank Sinatra? Mickey Cohen? Anyway, drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This here's T-Movie signing off.